Hey, good morning, girls. Happy Friday. A little cold and stormy here, but it's a great day. So we're heading through Proverbs so far, and I hope you guys have been enjoying this as we look at the words that are actually here, because I think it makes it a little bit easier for us to actually apply it to our life. Because I think sometimes when we read what's here, it becomes very overwhelming and we're not really sure what to do with it and how could I possibly do everything. But I love the fact, so far we've talked about, for the past couple days, that a woman of noble character, a godly wife, is someone who doesn't talk bad about her husband, that she's not out there attacking him. She's enterprising. She's not a sluggard. She makes wise decisions. She goes about her work vigorously, and makes good judgment. That was what it was. And she's the opposite of a sluggard. So all of those so far, don't those sound pretty attainable for us? I think they do. As I started dissecting this part of Proverbs 31, going, okay, so how do I become that woman? And what's really awesome is so far we can do this. And that's the encouragement for you on a Friday morning, is so far what we've seen, what the scripture tells us, even though it's worded in different ways. Good morning, Bev. It's not unattainable. I think what happens is when we don't take a moment to really look at what it says and understand the meanings in it, then it becomes overwhelming. So hopefully as we dig through, we've still got a couple more days of Proverbs 31 because I want to finish it up just so we can have a complete overview of it, because I think it's really encouraging. And today is going to be no different, which I'm excited about. Today we're in Proverbs 31, 19 to 22. So grab your Bible, take a look at it, mark it up, make some notes. But in 19, let's start there. Excuse me. In her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Sounds like a lot, right? But let's take it verse by verse and let's look at what I pulled from the commentaries and look at what the words might have really meant. Because see what happens, remember, the Bible's been translated from Greek and Hebrew to English, which means that sometimes if there's a word in Greek, it may not be an exact word in English. Or perhaps in English, there's 3 different meanings to it, depends on where it's used, but it meant a specific, it's like love, right? So we know the word love in the Bible has many meanings. Agape, phileo, excuse me, and all of that. They've got the meaning of love where it's unconditional, which is God's love, agape. They've got phileo, which is the sensual love. And then they've also got the love of like a friend, where you would not have agape love for a hot dog, but you'd love a hot dog. So hopefully that makes sense. Excuse me, sorry about that. So that's why we want to look at this, and we want to take like 3 or 4 verses at a time and really take a look at what each of these words might have meant versus just reading it. Because if I sit here and read, in her hand she holds the distaff and grasps the spindle with her fingers. Okay, I don't spin wool, right? Do you? Most of us don't. But what this verse 19, what it's telling us is she's skilled. She has some skills. Now, whether she has them or she's gone and learned them. And to me, what this means in verse 19 is that we invest in ourselves. Ladies, invest in yourself. Get training. Get in groups. Do Bible studies. Spend that time investing in who you are. Build your skills. Build your knowledge. See, that's on you. You can't sit on the sofa and just hope and pray God gives you some amazing knowledge of something and gives you a skill. We have to take action. Remember, the Bible's a book of action. So what we see in verse 19 is she is skilled. Well, that's it. That's good. We can handle that, right? I go to conferences. I go to mentoring events, mastermind events. I know they ask me, is $30 too much for the conference we just did a week ago? And I'm like, you're asking the wrong person. Someone who will go to a mastermind conference with a group of women I'm plugged into and pay $150 for the ticket, plus drive to another state and get a hotel and pay for the meals. Or for example, in May, heading to Hilton Head for pretty much a one-on-one mastermind with two of the leading experts in the industry of ministry to be trained by them. And for that, it's $1,500, plus the hotel, plus the travel, right? So when you look at that, I believe we have to invest in ourselves. I believe we need to build our skills. And yes, we can find the free stuff out there, but I'm going to tell you this much. When women come, because I can't talk about men, but when women typically look for all the free stuff, they don't follow through. You get a free Bible study, that you didn't have to buy the book, and most of the time you don't follow through. We've seen that. We've seen some Bible studies, and I'm participating in one where they didn't have to invest in a book because the way it's set up, it's actually a brilliant idea that they get a reading list and then they meet together, but now they aren't meeting. They aren't showing up because there's no investment that they've made. So it really pays. That's why with a lot of the people on my support, my virtual support business, when somebody is always looking for the free, they're not our ideal client, right? So it's the same thing when it comes to investing in yourself. Yes, there are great opportunities to do some free stuff. However, when you invest your money or your time into something, you will own it. If it's just handed to you, you don't. You don't find time. There's always excuses. So what are you doing to build your skills today? How are you plugged in? How are you investing in who you are? Okay, now let's take a look at verse 20. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. And what I love here is that it's just saying she's charitable. She gives to those that need. She doesn't run around saying, look what I did. And you'll find that that's kind of what Greg and I will do if we're out for dinner. We'll be sitting there and we'll see an older couple or maybe somebody who appears that they might be widowed. Sitting at the table alone. Or just someone that, it's hard to explain it. You're sitting there having dinner, but all of a sudden you get this, just feels like God says, take care of them. And we do, but they don't know it's us. You see, we grab our waitress and we'll let them know we need their bill, we're going to take care of it. And it shocks people. They're like, we've never had that happen here. And I'm thinking it should happen more. And then we go on about our business. It was really awesome. A couple of months ago, we were sitting at a local hole-in-the-wall restaurant here having dinner. And we were in this one area that a pastor and some of his leaders were having dinner as well. And there were a couple of kids that kept running around the restaurant, and the kids were coming over to take food off the tables, and we just kind of laughed, and they called them back. And so it was kind of an interesting and challenging dinner, but we just went about our dinner, and we kept sitting and waiting for our waitress to bring our check back. And we're waiting. I finally flagged her down and I said, could we get our check? We need to go. And she says, your bill's been paid. And so we sat there and we went, well, okay then. And we left the tip for the waitress. And we know it was a church group because there was their church bus outside. It's a local church in the area. And it was funny because we knew who paid it. And I put it up on Facebook, and, the folks that know that pastor just kind of chuckled along, because he didn't mean to be known, but it's just, sometimes you're a little bit smarter than that. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you're in a room with a church group, there's a lot of chaos in the room, bill gets paid, the pastor had gone up there to pay the bills and come back and get his group. So we knew. But it was awesome. I still will go through drive-thrus sometimes and get some tea or get some coffee, grab some lunch, whatever. And the car in front of me pays for me. And I'll tell you what, there's been times that they've paid and I've wept. Because God knows what you need when you need it. I was having a horrible day one day, and I was like, I need to get out of the office here. I'm going to go grab lunch. I know I've got stuff here to make, but I need to get out. So I went through drive-thru, and I'm thinking, well, I'm spending like $8 that I really don't want to be spending, but I'm going to go. And it was the most awesome thing. God knows when to touch your heart. Because I got to the window and the girl says, oh, the guy in front of you just paid. And I thought, really? See, usually I'm the one paying. So I'm shocked when it happens. I mean, I'm blessed, I'm excited, I'm overjoyed. You want to play it, continue, see how many you can pay. Lunchtime is harder, though, because you never know how much they're ordering. What if they're feeding the office, But I wept. Because God knew I needed that touch of knowing that not all people were horrible. And it was because something had happened with a person that kind of set me off to know I'm so glad I don't deal with people all the time. And I had a touch of kindness from somebody else. But she knows being charitable, that it's a blessing from God. So charitable is the second skill. So today, sorry, I'm just thinking ahead. I'm reading ahead and thinking, so I'm ahead of what I'm saying, and that's really bad because I'll confuse the verses. So she's skilled and charitable today. Doable, right? You can get skilled. You may already be skilled. And you can become charitable if you're not. Then we take a look at when it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. Okay, I read that the first time and I'm thinking, okay, so the whole house is dressed in red. What is that? So they're seeing if they fall in snow, what's the deal with this, right? Now don't laugh at me, because when you read that, all of them are clothed in scarlet in the snow, you're thinking the same thing. Well, at least if it's white and the kids fall down, they're going to be seen, right? But no, what it's saying in here is she's prepared. The woman of God, who is of noble character, is prepared. She is prepared for the season. She's looking ahead. So the snow doesn't catch her off guard. She knows that maybe like it does here, where we're just in the middle of spring and all of a sudden we get a snow. Well, we're kind of like, okay, well, that's not what we wanted, but we grab our coats and our shoes and we're fine. We're prepared. Versus someone who, as the snow comes, is caught off guard in a way that there's panic and craziness and just, she's not ready. And all she can do is get mad and angry. Why did you bring the snow today? I'm not ready for this. This is not going to work for me. Instead, she's prepared. So what areas in your life do you need to be prepared for? Do you prepare for your week? Do you prepare for your day? Are you prepared for the seasons? We're in a season right now that it's not just going into spring out of winter, that it's layers around here. Today we've got severe weather right now with rain that's going to last till about noon, and then all of a sudden it's going to shoot up to 70 degrees. So we've got to be prepared for this. And then, oh yeah, don't forget, and then tomorrow's going to drop back down again. So it's about being prepared. Is your house prepared? If somebody was to show up at your house and say they just needed to hang out and have dinner with you guys and relax, are you prepared in a way that you could entertain someone? Would your door be open, or would you be so angry that they showed up? My thing is, my door is open to people. You're just going to have to excuse the dog hair. I got 3 large dogs. I don't have all day to walk around with a dust mop. But if somebody showed up and needed a meal, I could easily prepare one for them. If somebody showed up and needed a blanket or a coat or a bed or whatever they needed, we're prepared to help. My family is taken care of. You know, my family is dogs and chickens and my husband, but they're taken care of. They have what they need. I am prepared, and I look ahead. That's one of the things we laugh at here in the South is, you know, when they put up the warnings on the TV for the storms, I've learned how to look at the sky and know when to expect it. Our warnings are pretty close down here. I think I give them, they do a good job most of the time. But I can look at the sky and I can say, we're going to get a storm. You know, we're going to get a thunderstorm. We're going to get the rain. And my husband laughs and he says, nope, there's nothing on radar. I says, I don't care about the radar. I'm in tune to watching what's happening here. It's one of those things that they were like, did they ever open the door and look out their door? You know, we laughed in California where they'd say, oh, it's bright and sunny. And I'm like, did you look out your door? It's pouring rain. I think the forecasters are the only job out there that can be totally wrong all the time, 100% off base, and never be fired. Pretty amazing. All right, verse 22. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Okay, now is where you start getting a little weird. If you've not done any kind of sewing before, you're thinking, whatever. I'm going to make a comforter for my bed. You know, fine linen and purple. What is the deal with all this? What this is telling us is that the wife of noble character, the Proverbs 31 woman, takes care of herself. She makes sure that she is covered and clothed appropriately. She brushes her hair. She brushes her teeth. She doesn't have to get all dolled up all the time, but she's taking care of who she is. She's looking decent for her husband. And I laugh because most of the time I'm in sweats and a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, you know, if it's chilly. And I always laugh. I always tell my husband, I said, you know, I feel bad that you come home and I'm in sweatpants all the time. But when you work here and everything is virtual, you know, maybe you run out for lunch, but most of the time you're here, I don't get all dressed up. And what he told me is, it is totally fine. Because I do brush my hair, I brush my teeth, I take a shower. You know, so what that I'm in sweats and a t-shirt? I'm cleaned up though. We want to make sure that when we go out into public, ladies, that we are dressed appropriately. And we are covered in a way that is conservative. That's the best word for it. We were laughing the other day because one of the gals in our discipleship group is stepping up to lead the young ladies, which I'm very excited for her and just thrilled to death because our girls from 13 to 18 need a little TLC. They need to be taught how to act, what to wear, everything else, and she's stepping up. And it was funny because we talked about doing a fashion show half-day event with them and showing them how to dress appropriately and what would be considered provocative or a slut. I don't know if that's a bad word or not, but that's what we're talking about. You know, stuff hanging out that shouldn't hang out, you know what I mean? And somebody laughed in the group and said, there's women that need to come to that too. And we laughed. But seriously, when we look at what Proverbs 31 tells us, ladies, we've got to be presentable. And it doesn't mean we wear short shorts where our butt hangs out the back. Doesn't mean that we wear skirts that are so short that you got to sit down with your legs scrunched together and hope you don't have to move your leg because everything's going to show. We don't wear shirts, ladies, that everything pops out over the top. We don't need to have our midriff hanging out everywhere. Ladies, it's not appropriate. We need to be conservative, and it doesn't mean you're all in headgear and a jacket and covered up. You can be really cute, but be modest. That's the word we want. And she does. She is clothed appropriately. She is presenting herself in a way that makes her husband just grin ear to ear. And what's amazing, ladies, and this is what most forget, it isn't about the least amount of clothes you can wear that makes you sexy and attractive. It's about presenting yourself, and it's about your character. It's who you are inside. Because you could walk around in pajamas or sweats at home and still be amazing and beautiful. But I really want you to look at today, ladies, how are you dressing? And most of you that I'm connected to, most of you do just fine. But this is also something to encourage those around you, your daughters. Ladies, cover them up. You know, it's one of the things that I was always told by my daddy when I grew up was, if they can get the milk for free, why would they pay for it? Why would they buy the cow? And I kept thinking, what is he talking about? And see, the thing is that if everything is so exposed out there, there's no reason for them to have any other interest. And women set themselves up, I believe, to be gawked at by men because they're missing the affection in their own personal life. Now, see, I had the reverse reaction growing up, that I didn't have that affection growing up, and I tended to withdraw from the people. So typically you're going to either withdraw or you're going to be promiscuous. You're going to wear things that maybe are a little more risque. But you know what's really awesome is when you can just dress beautiful, cover it up. Doesn't mean you have to wear a full-length skirt. You know, just take it down a notch. Cover some stuff up. You know, a string bikini, I don't know, girls. Because it's, I don't think it's appropriate. I don't care how skinny you are. But we've got to be clothed in a way that represents the daughter of a king. Do you represent the daughter of a king? When you're out there in public, ladies, how are you presenting yourself? That's what this is mentioning to us. How are we representing ourselves? How are we taking care of ourselves? And how do we take care of our home? Because the part where she makes coverings for a bed, what it's referring to is the home is in order. The home is in order so that if somebody came to visit, you'd open the door and let them visit. Now, like I said here, our house is, oh no, I don't have a lot of junk everywhere, but I have dog hair on the floor. That's a given. Dog hair and dirt. And the dirt's because we're on a rural property and the dogs bring it in. But the home, and I think what I look at there is somebody who's a hoarder and hanging on to everything. Piles of stuff everywhere, trash everywhere. You're like the gal I shared on the first day that would clean her house by taking everything, throwing it in the shower, and pulling the shower curtain. Okay, that's not a Proverbs 31 woman. So hopefully, let's review our characteristics for today. Today, she is skilled, she is charitable, she is prepared, and she takes care of herself. So hopefully those 4 areas today. So we're starting to see how this Proverbs 31 woman is attainable when we dissect it piece by piece. So your challenge for today is to look at yourself and ask yourself, are you skilled? Are you investing in yourself? That's what that means. Are you investing in yourself? Whether it's your spiritual self, physical self, emotional self, are you investing? Are you spending the money, the time to better who you are? Charitable, are you giving back? You know, that opens up a whole nother door of tithing. Are you tithing? You know, we got to remember that everything that comes in is not ours anyhow. It belongs to God. So why are we holding so tight to it? And I'm going to tell you this much. Tithing is amazing. It makes no sense on paper. Because, see, when you increase your tithing and you be consistent with it, you're going to find there's more money in your account than you ever imagined. I can't tell you the days that I look at the balance and when my husband says, oh, we have this much, and I'm like, and where did it come from? I don't get it. That's a God thing. Okay? Do you need to be more prepared in your house? I love the Whole30, the nutritional challenge, but it's a lot of preparation. A lot. And I'm going to try to look at it. We're going to look at considering implementing that here. I just have to get my husband on board because he's a meat and potatoes person. And but are you prepared? And then the last one is ask God, do you take care of yourself and your home? What do people see? How are you presenting yourself? How do you carry yourself? And this is all part of the balance of a healthy body, healthy mind, healthy spirit. Okay? All of them have to be in balance in order to thrive. And we work on different areas at different times. So those are your 4 things for today. And ask God, which area do you need the most attention in today? Do you need to invest in yourself? Do you need to be more charitable? Do you need to be more prepared? And do you need to take better care of yourself? There's your 4, and there's your challenge. Heavenly Father, I just lift these women up to you, and I pray, Father, that as they ask you and come to you to see which of these 4 areas they need to work on this weekend, that, Father, you will reveal to them the area that you want them to focus on. I pray, Father, that as we work through Proverbs 31, that you start bringing the ahas and the opening of the eyes to the women to see that this is possible to attain it if we look at it from the standpoint of each tidbit of it so far. So far it's been amazing, God, to see how simple, if we apply ourselves, it really is to become a Proverbs 31 woman. I pray, Father, that each of us today will continue to grow in that and continue to invest in ourselves so that we can thrive as women of God. In Jesus' name. All right, girls. Happy Friday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a fabulous weekend. But take some time, girls. We've gone through verses 10 to 22 so far in Proverbs 31. Take a look at those again. And remember our key things here. Number 1, she doesn't talk about her husband in a negative way. Number 2, because she's always bringing him good, not harm, right? Number 3, enterprising. She's enterprising. She's an entrepreneur. Is in there. She's like a merchant ship, right? Number 4, she is not a sluggard. She's not lazy. She doesn't find excuses. She is on the move. Okay, she also is someone that shows good judgment. and she works vigorously at whatever she is doing. She is skilled because she invests in herself. She is charitable through giving and tithing. She is prepared in her family and in herself, and she takes care of herself and her home. So there you go. Those are our top points in Proverbs 31 from verses 10 to 22. All right? Have a fabulous weekend. We'll catch you on Monday, and we'll jump back in with verse 23. All right? Love you, girls. Bye-bye.